السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا
إن الحمد لله نستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهديه الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وإن شر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار ثم أما بعد فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ألا إن في كل جسد مضغة إذا صلحت صلح الجسد كله وإذا فسدت فسد الجسد كله ألا وهي القلب. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, he told us in a hadith, verily there's a piece of flesh in our bodies. If it's good, our whole body will feel good. And if it's bad, our whole body will feel bad. Verily, it's the heart. Today, me and Tanweer, who's going to give the khutbah after me, we're unifying our khutbahs because we're friends. So we can do that. And what we're going to talk about is, don't get distracted because there's too much to do. What do I mean by that? On a personal level and on a society level, I'm going to talk about this. On a personal level, brothers, coming here to MCMC, giving the khutbah is really an honor. I love this community so much. You know, I live in North Brunswick. I live close to 3 masjids, are all within a few minutes of me, but I love coming here because the people here, I don't know, I just connect with them and they do a lot of work and it's mashallah, amazing people. And right now we are at a turning point. Alhamdulillah, the expansion is almost done. As you see, this beautiful school. We have a great facility for our kids. We have this gym. We're starting to pay off our old loans. And we're on a brink of something great or something a failure, in my opinion. We have the opportunity now to really take this community and make it maybe the best in the country, maybe the best in the whole world. And I'm not joking about this, because we have such amazing people who are dedicated, who are passionate. How can we do this? On a personal level, I've been a Sunday school teacher for many years, almost 10 years. Some of my students, mashallah, here today. And every year I go and I see new students and I see the same problems every single year. We see the problems with drugs. I see the problems with atheism is a huge thing. A lot of our kids, they don't believe. They see their parents, they grew up in their environment and they don't believe. I see a cultural and generation gap that is happening with our kids and that causes a lot of problems in our community. And I feel that every year, although it's been the same, in the next 10 and 20 years, we're going to have problems that we are going to not be able to handle unless we make this change now. I'm not joking. The next 20 years are going to be a huge change for the world. Global warming is on the brink, right? I know a lot of us, it's just a word for us. But wallahi, go online, read global warming by degrees. Just Google it, see what happens every degree. Take the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ about what happens close to the Day of Judgment. Side by side, it's exactly the same. After you reach 2 degrees, you have a spiraling effect. You have starting to get chaos. You're going to see mass refugee crises. You think this small refugee crisis, 1 million people, 10 million people in Syria and Rohingya, you think that's small? You think the backlash from Europe against Syrian refugees is small? What happens when all of Bangladesh and all of Pakistan runs out of power? What happens when Egypt runs out of water? Then you're going to see huge backlash. What's it going to do to us? And here in America, the Muslim backlash that happens could get worse. I'm afraid for my son because he's going to grow up in this environment. And I wonder, how am I going to prepare him? And I look to my masjid and I wonder, is my masjid there for my son? Are they going to have those tools there for him? Are they going to be able to help him meet those challenges? Right now, we have that ability. One of the things I would love to work on is getting a social worker to come to all the masjids, have a full-time social worker to deal with our issues. Well, a brother came to me yesterday, I'm talking to him. And he said, I know personally 2 suicide attempts in this community. Personally, 2 kids who are tried to commit suicide. I know personally 3 girls who ran away from home. I know personally people who are addicted to drugs in this community. So we have this opportunity to not get distracted by these little issues that come up. Oh, brother, are you doing this right properly? Is your this, that? These little tiny issues that come up daily, these are distractions, wallahi, because we have so much challenges facing us in the future. And I believe everybody here can help with that. Because all of you here, a lot of you have your own kids and you worry about your kids. You worry, how are they going to be in 10 years? A lot of you are like, I'm worried about them now. A lot of you are adults, you're worried about when you're aging. A brother came to us and he said, I'm getting old. My sons are not going to take care of me. I don't have enough money to retire. What am I going to do? Can you help us build something in this area so that we can, have a senior center or something like that? We have the ability now, brothers, to work on that. We have the ability to build this great community who can reach out to not just the Muslims in the area, but to non-Muslims in the area. Alhamdulillah, we had a brother here who's starting events about Malcolm X and Black History Month. This is the things that is going to make us a successful community. On another personal level, the generation and cultural gap. I know, brothers, and this is part of the distracted thing, and this is sort of a little bit to the older community. Please don't attack me afterwards. And also to the younger community. We're going to keep having these fights in the masjid, at home, in the community, so long as we're comfortable with this generation and cultural gap. So long as the young person is looking to the dad or the mom and saying, oh, you're just a fob, you don't understand. So long as that's okay, we're going to keep having these problems. One of my friends, actually, I was just telling him because he was talking about the same thing. He used to fight so much with his dad and about, he's not acting, he's being so cultural and un-Islamic, and subhanAllah, he was so surprised when his dad, on his deathbed was taking the shahad, and he started crying and he couldn't believe, the person that he discounted so much could be so pious that he was able to do that. This cultural gap, this generational and cultural gap needs to be addressed. I have a generational gap with my kids, with my son. I have a generational gap with the kids in Sunday school, but I don't have a cultural gap. I understand where they're coming from. I went to high school, I know exactly the things that they're going through, I get it. But the cultural gap is there also in our thing. I'll give you an example. When I went to Egypt, after I graduated college, I spent about a year there. The first time I went to Jummah, everybody in the family is getting dressed. It's like 12 o'clock, they're getting dressed. They're like, come on, let's go, take a shower. And I'm like, 1:15. we got plenty of time. And then 12:30 the adhan goes and everybody's downstairs. I'm like, wait, it started? And like, yeah, we start after Dhuhr, after the adhan. And I was thinking it's 1:15, it's Jummah, because my cultural background is telling me this. So I had to learn that this is different, right? I had a cultural thing to bridge. For uncles, it's the same thing. You guys don't understand. For a young person, what may seem as, maybe a trivial thing to them may seem a big thing in from where you're coming from back home. So, what does that leave us to do? That leaves for us to really look forward. Don't get distracted. Don't get distracted by people who try to push you towards things that don't matter. Help others who need help. Come to the masjid, come to me, come to us and tell us, this is what needs to get addressed. You tell us, hey, in 10 years, I want the masjid to be like this. You do it like that. Tell us, because we need to make this change. Because we need to adapt. And if we don't adapt, wallahi, I'm telling you, in 10 years, in 20 years, we are going to be completely lost. Completely lost. Brothers, there are things happening right now with artificial intelligence, augmented reality. I know these might seem like technical terms, but this is affecting the youth. Listen, there are already glasses, Google Glass, you've heard of it, right? It looks really weird, but they've already developed glasses that look just like normal glasses, but are augmented reality. We have a porn addiction in our society with our kids. But now they're going to be sitting in the masjid with their glasses on, looking at this augmented reality stuff in the masjid, in whatever, at home, and you're going to have no idea what's going on. We have an artificial intelligence issue. Our jobs in 10, 20 years, you know what? Could be replaced. A lot of us could be homeless, could be jobless in 20 years. Are we going to be there to take care of each other? Because a lot of our jobs will be automated. College in 20 years will cost me $15,000 for 4 years, or for $20,000 for 4 years to go to college. Will cost me $120,000 for my kid in 18 years. And I know so many kids who have not gone to college because of the money gap. We can change this. We can do something about it. Brother came to me and said, we need to start a scholarship. I think that's a great idea. Somebody came, we need to start a waqf, that we can help brothers who want to invest and start their own business. We need to help them. We need to do this. It'll bring money to the masjid to help others. That's great. Let's do it. Let's create these. Brothers, you have such amazing ideas. You have such talented people here. The most talented people. You guys are really smart, intelligent, motivated, young. You can do all these things. And I hope, inshallah, that we do it together. I hope, inshallah, that we all come together as a masjid, as a community, and do all these things, and not get distracted by the little things that divide us. Because wallahi, it doesn't matter. The little things that divide us do not matter. We're all in this together. We can all make a difference together. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه غفور. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in amma ba'd. For those of you coming in late, I'm talking about how we cannot get distracted and we have to move forward and we have to come together to make this success. When I grew up in a primarily Egyptian, Muslim community, went to Arabic school, and my concept of Islam was that concept of kind of like mixed Egyptian culture. And to be honest, I had a very bad view of Islam up in high school and even until college. As you can see by my Junaid Jamshid clothing, I made a lot of Pakistani friends in college who are now almost all my friends. And when I saw Islam being practiced in a different way, it taught me that Islam goes against, not to go against, but surpasses cultural things. And a lot of our kids need to understand that as well. And we, as a community, need to understand that Islam brings us together. Islam supersedes our cultural things and our cultural understanding. How does that mean for us? For me, growing up here and being a born American, I have the same values, the same core beliefs as other American people, right? This is the thing we've been growing up since we were a child. Freedom of expression, freedom of whatever, freedom. This is something that's a core value of us. And everybody who grew up in a different place, in a different time, they have their own core values. Melded with Islam, we understand it in a different way. And it's hard for us to understand this. It's hard for us to see, like, why are they doing like this? It's hard for us to see our parents and understand where are they coming from. I'll give you an example, right? It's very controversial. Probably I'll get a couple of stones thrown at me. But like women's issues, right? Women's place in Islam, women's place in the masjid. Why do people like me keep bringing it up, arguing about it? Why do we keep doing that? It's because it's part of who we are, how we grew up. That we feel that women have an equal place in our life. Where somebody who might have grown up in a different society, a different time, might see differently. To be honest, we have older women in this community who view women's rights differently than the younger women in the community because of the way they grew up. So we have to understand that. We have to understand where we're coming from and the fact that these things are not going to go away just because it's part of our core values, it's part of who we feel, who we are. And we need to come together as a masjid to bring those together. And we can do that, because I've seen other communities where they split. I know it's here in this area. I've seen it. You have one masjid, it's all people 50, 60 plus. You walk into the masjid, you'll never see a young person in the masjid. And they all split and went to a different place. It's all young people. You won't see a single old person in that masjid. All the programs are for young people, mother family night, whatever. The young ones all like lectures with sheikh, and that's it. And that's it. They're too split. And people might live in this community and drive all the way to the other community just to attend young lectures. But we as a community, we're amazing people. And mashallah, I see like people who I love and respect here, who I've been coming to breakfast club with and having talks with, and young people I see are so motivated. And mashallah, brothers and sisters, to close, because you have to go back to work. After you go back to work today, after you log off, you go home, you have your dinner, after you tell your wife I love you, thank you for the food, or your wife tells you thank you for cooking, right? This is another thing that happens. It's this cultural gap. Sometimes I've been up here and I've said, brothers, the Prophet ﷺ used to kiss his wife as he left the house. It's sunnah to kiss your wife. It's sunnah to tell her I love you. And then brother will come up to me afterwards and say, brother, how could you do this? Now I'm going to be expected to. So this is the cultural gap that I'm talking about. But when you go home tonight and you're with your family and you look at your kids or you're looking at your dad, I want you to sit with them and I want you to see, what can I do with them for the next 10 years? Brother Hakeem standing here, mashallah. What can you do with your sons for the next 10 years so that they become the imams of this ummah? Right? Brother Jaleel, with your grandsons. Some of the other guys here, with your fathers. Faisal, with your father, what can I do? That we can go home tonight, we can sit with our families, and we can brainstorm. In the next 10 years, these are the things I want to do, because we cannot get distracted by small issues. Because we have so much to face, wallahi, in the next 10 years, that we have to come together, we have to meet those problems. We can succeed, we can become the only masjid in this area that people in 10 years from now will be migrating because we're the only community that can deal with their problems. We, wallahi, if we meet this challenge, in 10, 20 years, you will have this entire place filled with Muslims asking us for help, asking us to help get their kids into college, asking us to help with their kids who are struggling with issues. We'll have people who are older people who are coming here to live because they know as a senior they will be taken care of. And we can do this. And I hope we can do this, inshallah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He makes this community successful. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He makes this community great. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He fixes our health and He fixes our society and He fixes our families. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ اللهم اجعل من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما اللهم نسألك المعافية في الدنيا والآخرة وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وأقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
Please straighten the lines. Please make sure your cell phones are off. Close the gaps, inshallah. Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. سبح اسم ربك الأعلى الذي خلق فسوى والذي قدر فهدى والذي أخرج المرعى فجعله غثاء أحوى سنقرئك فلا تنسى إلا ما شاء الله إنه يعلم الجهر وما يخفى ونيسرك لليسرى فذكر إن نفعت الذكرى سيذكر من يخشى ويتجنبها الأشقى الذي يصلى النار الكبرى ثم لا يموت فيها ولا يحيا قد أفلح من تزكى وذكر اسم ربه فصلى بل تؤثرون الحياة الدنيا والآخرة خير وأبقى إن هذا لفي الصحف الأولى صحف إبراهيم وموسى. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. هل أتاك حديث الغاشية وجوه يومئذ خاشعة عاملة ناصبة تصلى نار حامية تسقى من عين آنية ليس لهم طعام إلا من ضريع لا يسمن ولا يغني من جوعه وجوه يومئذ ناعمة بسعيها راضية في جنة عالية لا تسمع فيها لاغية فيها عين جارية فيها سرر مرفوعة وأكواب موضوعة ونمارق مسفوفة وزرابي مبثوثة أفلا ينظرون إلى الإبل كيف خلقت وإلى السماء كيف رفعت وإلى الجبال كيف نصبت وإلى الأرض كيف سطحت فذكر إنما أنت مذكر لست عليهم بمسيطر إلا من تولى وكفر فيعذبه الله العذاب الأكبر إن إلينا إيابهم ثم إن علينا حسابهم. الله سمع الله لمن حمده. الله الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Just a few quick announcements. Tomorrow, just as Brother Rami mentioned, there is a brunch for Malcolm X. There's going to be a talk about Malcolm X and Black History Month after the Breakfast Club here. And also next weekend, there's going to be a health fair that's being held here at MCMC. So please join us for both, and also as you exit the masjid, you will see that there are signs for a general body meeting and a Constitution Town Hall. So look for the signs and you'll find the dates. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. قال الله تعالى في القرآن الكريم بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم: فقلت استغفروا ربكم إنه كان غفارا. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. آمين يا رب العالمين. Cricket is a very popular game in subcontinent. I found myself at a party and I was sitting next to a guy who I never had met before. He was from India, he was from Hyderabad. So naturally I thought, let's strike a conversation, let's talk about cricket. And I asked him, are you into it, do you follow it? And he said, ever since I believe he mentioned 1999 or so, before that he used to be a very big fan. But after that he just stopped following. I said, what happened? He said one of his favorite players, he was exposed in some match fixing controversy. And he said, I used to look up to him, and then now, because of this one incident, he said, I just, gave up the whole game altogether. It created such a bad taste in my heart for this game. And I was reflecting on this, and subhanAllah, this exact same scenario can happen in the deen. Every single one of us, in life in general, every single one of us, we look up to people. Whether we realize it or not, we look up to people for different aspects of our lives. These people could be in our community, in our family, internationally, a lot of times, especially when it comes to the deen. And unfortunately, what happens is you look up to this person, maybe in the community, again, maybe in the family, maybe it's at a very global stage, a very big scholar, and they falter, they make some mistakes, they get exposed. And because you're so invested in that person, your whole world tends to just shatter. You're like completely lost. You don't know what to do. And so this scenario, perhaps maybe not very common, is very possible, and it happens. And the scholars, they give a very good advice. They say, obviously, like I said, it's just natural to have role models in different aspects of our lives, especially in deen. But as you're following them, as you're investing yourself in them, make sure you invest in people who have passed away. You invest in people who you know for sure are blessed, are accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Because the people who are alive, their hearts are constantly changing. Their hearts are constantly changing. And so one group of people that we know are accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are the Anbiya of Allah, the Nabi of Allah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent. And so today I wish to speak about two individuals, one Nabi and one individual who has recently passed away and could definitely serve. His life could definitely serve as somebody who we can look up to. But this is extremely important, something to inculcate in our own hearts and especially in our children's hearts, so that they don't get other role models, they get these true role models that are accepted by Allah. So in terms of Nabi, the example that I wish to quote is the example of Prophet Nuh alayhi salam. And as some of you may know, we're doing a series on the prophets for our kids. There's a kids program called Salah Stars, and we've been doing a series on the prophets. But subhanAllah, there is so many lessons for us adults as well when we study the lives of the prophet. And I wish to share 3 important lessons from the life of Nuh alayhi salam. Some practical lessons that we can live with when we find ourselves in different situations in our life. We can think about Nuh alayhi salam. What would Nuh alayhi salam do? Nuh alayhi salam, first of all, he lived for 950 years. We all probably know that. 950 years. He preached non-stop, day and night, private, public. He used to preach all the time. But how many people followed Nuh alayhi salam? How many people accepted his message? 80 people. After preaching 950 years, after preaching for 950 years, how many people followed him? 80 people. So if you and I were to grade Nuh alayhi salam, okay, let's see how Nuh alayhi salam did. He was given this important task of delivering the message. How did he do? Every single one of us, we would probably give him an F. We would be like, you preached for 950 years, that's like, and got 80 people, that's less than one person every 100 years. But who cares what kind of grade we give? Let's see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala graded Nuh alayhi salam. Again, it's none of our business to distinguish between or differentiate between the prophets. But since it has come to us that Nuh alayhi salam was of the top 5 of the Anbiya, right? Ulul Azm. The other 4 are Musa, Isa, Ibrahim, and of course Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Nuh alayhi salam was the top 5. So how does this make any sense? He preached for 950 years. The results were way off. How do you give him such an A grade? Something very important that we all learn here. Unlike us, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He does not necessarily look at results. Of course, results are important. But to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your effort and your sincerity and your consistency and your persistence, that is what reaches Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is a profound, it may sound very simple, but it's a profound lesson for all of us. To not focus too much on results, focus on your work, your sincerity. Focus on your ikhlas. Focus on the ihsan with which you do work. For example, when we do volunteer work at the masjid, when we try to put together programs, the other day we put together an outreach program, maybe 15, 20 people showed up. It may sound like, oh, not many people showed up. It can be very deflating. But if you think about the example of Nuh alayhi salam, you think, no. As long as you put your effort, as long as you were sincere, that's what is important. It's something very important to inculcate in our kids as well. A lot of times growing up, kids focus too much on grades. Of course, grades are again important. I'm not trying to deny that. I want my kids to get A's all the time. But as parents, don't focus too much on that. Also focus on how much effort the kid is putting in. That is very important. Because when they grow up later on in college, all they'll be obsessed with are the A's. I remember in our program, there were a lot of kids that cheated their way to getting A's. They put stuff on their resume, they got internship, eventually they got exposed. Why? When they got to their internship, they didn't know how to do anything. And it gave a bad name to the entire program, right? So focus on the effort. Focus on the intentions, not necessarily the results, even though, of course, we all desire good results. Something very important for all of us to reflect on. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all the tawfiq to do so. Ameen. The second incident in the life of Nuh alayhi salam was the fact that his own son did not believe in him, did not accept his message. Right? We know when the water and the flood started to come, what did his son do? He ran away. He went to this peak at some mountain, climbed up the mountain thinking that he will be saved there. And basically did not accept his own father's message, Nabi. Again, something very important to reflect on, that guidance is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We even see that in the seerah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when his own uncle Abu Talib was on his deathbed, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sitting right there, and he was pleading to Abu Talib, please, just say the shahada, and I will ask for forgiveness for you. In fact, he even said, just whisper the shahada to me. But Abu Talib did not do that. And one of the reasons was, why? Because Abu Jahl was right there, was watching. And Abu Talib gave in to that pressure. And so simultaneously, another thing here is to reflect on the company you keep. If you surround yourself with good people, chances are you will end up in the right direction, right? The Prophet ﷺ said, you're in the deen of your companion. Be very careful who you take as your companion. Abu Talib did not cut himself off from Abu Jahl. He had access to be there on his deathbed, and subhanAllah, that could be one reason why he didn't accept the message. So keeping good company and always remembering that guidance, hidayah, is only with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hidayah is only with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's why every single prayer we keep asking for ihdina siratal mustaqim. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all the tawfiq to reflect on this. Ameen. And the last lesson, and subhanAllah, there's so many lessons that you can derive, but the last lesson that I want to point out, obviously all of us, we probably desire success in the dunya, hopefully with the right intentions. We desire more money, we desire more success. And of course, one way to do that is to work hard, your job, your business, whatever it is. But if you look at it from an Islamic perspective, right? One way is to look at the dunya perspective, and obviously you cannot neglect that, you work hard. But from an Islamic perspective, if you want to research, how can I increase my rizq? If you pick up any book, or if you listen to any lecture, I can guarantee you, the sheikh or the scholar who wrote that book or gave that lecture, he will quote ayahs from Surah An-Nuh, right? Where Nuh alayhi salam says, فَقُلْتُ اسْتَغْفِرُوا رَبَّكُمْ إِنَّهُ كَانَ غَفَّارًا. Seek forgiveness from Allah, He is Al-Ghaffar. يُرْسِلِ السَّمَاءَ عَلَيْكُمْ مِدْرَارًا. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will send non-stop rain. وَيُمْدِدْكُمْ بِأَمْوَالٍ وَبَنِينَ. He will increase your wealth and your children. Now the simple basic lesson to derive here is, of course, if you do a lot of istighfar, your inshallah rizq will increase. But if you reflect even more on this, there's another important lesson. Was Nuh alayhi salam rich? Were his followers rich? 80 people who even followed him, they were not from the elite of the society. They were not from the elite. And so here we reflect, hey, what's going on? Nuh alayhi salam is preaching that say istighfar, you will become rich. People will say, you look at yourself or look at your followers. How are you preaching that? Right? That's a question people could ask. And subhanAllah, a very important lesson here. That even though what you believe may not have been true for you, you still believe in that. You believe your iman should be really strong in what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told you, and it should not deter you. Even though you haven't seen the fruits of that, it should not deter you to preach that and continue to believe in that. And this is a very important lesson in today's day and age. Why? Because today, Islam in general, when you think of Islam, there's a lot of negative message that comes to mind. I feel bad for all the kids that are growing up. They might end up having so much inferiority complex in their heart and their mind. They might not be proud of their deen. They might not have the confidence to tell people they're Muslim or believe what they're believing. But when they reflect on Nuh alayhi salam, you can clearly see, even though he didn't have something, he didn't stop him from preaching that, from continuing to believe in that. And so it just shows the strength, the iman that Nuh alayhi salam had. And it's something that we should all reflect on and derive strength from. When we begin to doubt our deen, when we begin to doubt, not seeing the fruits in our lives, look at Nuh alayhi salam's life and try to seek, that consistency, that persistence, and that connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the tawfiq to really reflect on these important lessons that we can derive from Nuh alayhi salam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all the tawfiq that we study, spend some time learning the lives of the Anbiya alayhi salam and really derive practical lessons from their lives. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. Sometimes when you're explaining about the Anbiya, about the Sahaba, obviously their lives were also filled with miracles. And sometimes, especially when you're explaining it to kids, they don't relate to it. They think that, that was just, they're different. That's why they were special. And so a lot of times you have to also reflect on the people who have recently passed away, people who are in our generation pretty much, or some people who have passed away recently and who've lived a good life, who had good death. Of course, we cannot say for sure what their fate is, but when you look at our ulama always praising them, they mention their names and always ask for Allah's mercy to be on them, they've lived a good life and they've died a good death. And one such person that is a role model for all of us, one such person that we should really spend time studying about is Malcolm X. Especially for people who are living in this country. A lot of times you grow up in different countries, you probably never hear about him. But if you're living in this country, if your kids are growing up in this country, you need to learn about Malcolm X. Unbelievable life. And to be honest with you, I read this book many years ago, and I really want to read this book again because you can't do justice. That book, and I'll just encourage you, the autobiography of Malcolm X, I really encourage every single parent and every single, even kids, at least 9th grade and up to read that book. I personally know people who've read that book and they have completely changed their lives. They were furthest away from the deen and they became really close to Allah. They became really close to the deen. And I've heard of many people doing the same. Their entire lives changed just, of course, with Allah's guidance, but just by reading that one book. And subhanAllah has, many lessons. I can't do justice here. But when you read about Malcolm X, you think about the one thing that comes to your mind is activism, right? When he knew something to be the truth, he didn't just keep it to himself. He was an activist, right? When the chips are down, when his community is down, you have to be, every single one of us, we need to be an activist. And I can tell you, in Muslim community, every single one of us right now, we need to be an activist. We can't just sit on the sidelines. And so a lot of people would say, okay, to be an activist, he was such a good speaker, he was so knowledgeable. Do you all know that he did not even have education beyond 8th grade? He did not even go to school beyond 8th grade. In fact, he was in prison for the longest time. And if you read the book, it shows in prison was where he really learned how to read. In prison was where he really learned so many different things. Where he could organize his thoughts. Where he could talk on different subjects and he could preach to people. He talks about 15, 16 hours straight in prison. He would just dedicate learning. And so when you read that, you reflect on that, we should ask ourselves, sometimes we are wasting the most precious thing we have, which is time. We waste our time in trivial matters. Of course, entertainment, these things are all halal, but we have to have some sort of purpose. The entertainments and stuff, they should only serve as a break so that you can get back to your mission. Unfortunately, our entertainments become the mission. That's all that we want to do. It's a completely different concept now. I really encourage, and I remind myself, I'm definitely going to do the same. I really encourage all of you to really reflect on and take time out and to really read about his life. And on that note, alhamdulillah, as you all know, MCMC, this beautiful masjid, we've had this outreach committee for a long time. But alhamdulillah, we invested in a full-time resource just 2 months ago. And I can tell you in the last 2-3 months, we've never had so much activism in terms of outreach in the history of MCMC. Almost two times a month we're doing events where we're inviting and encouraging all of you to invite your friends and co-workers and neighbors to come to the masjid. On a very regular basis, we are visiting, group of brothers are regularly visiting other churches and synagogues and really creating a dialogue with people. We're going to for the first time, we have a relationship with the library where we're doing programs at the library. We started a food pantry where, people come who are needy and they come and they're able to get something. So on that note, we are doing an event on Malcolm X. Tomorrow morning, I know it's kind of late now, but tomorrow morning, 7:30 a.m., there's a breakfast on this topic of Malcolm X, remembering him, and how we can get some inspiration from his life to do a lot of work that needs to be done. And it's still not too late. I really encourage you. There's a brother who's going to be passing out these cards. Take these cards. And you never know. Again, don't think about the results. Don't think about the results, whether people will come or not. Just do your work. Just pass out these invitation cards to people with ikhlas. And inshallah, you never know, people will come and they will get to really see a different perspective of Islam and our community. And similarly, I just want to end on this note. In the Quran, Surah Ibrahim, we know, لَإِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. If you're grateful, you will see increase. I want to ask you all, I want to ask myself, are we grateful for the masjid that we're sitting in right now? Are we grateful? Maybe some of you are from different communities. Are you truly grateful? for the communities that you go to. And when I say grateful, it's not just saying Alhamdulillah. Are you doing something for that community? If you're not, you're not recognizing the blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you, and it may be taken away. So if you want to be truly grateful, be an activist like Malcolm X. Get the inspiration from him, and then learn about our Anbiya and derive the spiritual, the inspiration, the determination, the persistence that we all need to continue to do the work of the deen. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. Alhamdulillah, a lot of work is happening. Programs for the kids, outreach events, all kinds of things are going on. And it's really up to you all to ask yourself this question: are you being grateful? And so may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all the tawfiq that we truly appreciate the blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us all the tawfiq that we take the Anbiya, the Sahaba, the pious predecessors as our true role models. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the tawfiq that we're constantly asking for guidance from Him and Him alone. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless us with good companionship, with people who are constantly reminding us of the akhirah, who are constantly reminding us about the purpose of our existence in this dunya. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless our pious predecessors. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to elevate the rank of Malcolm X and accept all of his deeds. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we truly become sincere, consistent activists in our respective communities. And may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Inna Allaha wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala nabi. يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد إن الله يأمركم بالعدل وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون اذكروا الله يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون وأقيموا الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
استووا واعتدلوا. Please make your line straight, shoulder to shoulder, foot to foot, foot to foot. Allahu Akbar. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. إنا أرسلنا نوحا إلى قومه أن أنذر قومك من قبل أن يأتيهم عذاب أليم. قال يا قوم إني لكم نذير مبين أن اعبدوا الله واتقوه وأطيعون يغفر لكم من ذنوبكم ويؤخركم إلى أجل مسمى إن أجل الله إذا جاء لا يؤخر لو كنتم تعلمون. قال رب إني دعوت قومي ليلا ونهارا فلم يزدهم دعائي إلا فرارا وإني كلما دعوتهم لتغفر لهم جعلوا أصابعهم في آذانهم واستغشوا ثيابهم وأصروا واستكبروا استكبارا ثم إني دعوتهم جهارا ثم إني أعلنت لهم وأسررت لهم